Thursday, the 4th of August 2022. In this skidmark of this and that and what a fuck, I will be focusing on things that involves the US. I have been accused of being anti-American, and it was most probably valid accusations. I just want to place it on record that when I refer to the US, I don't refer to every citizen in America, to American. I refer to that government, that cabal that sits in your White House, which I call a shit house. That is where my disappointment and aggression is focused on. Because for many years, decades, the White House has been seen as the seat of Western power. Unfortunately, over time, that power has corrupted. And today, we're sitting with a world that's on the edge of World War III because of actions orchestrated out of the shit house. And it is absolutely shocking to me that the normal Americans, the people on the street, decent people, has allowed a political race to develop in their midst, and that race is now devouring their country. But let me leave it there. My biggest issue with the US is their warmongering. The debacle in the Ukraine is still red hot. And then, what do you know? They go and stir shit in Taiwan. For what reason? Taiwan is far away from America. Taiwan can do nothing to Americans. But no, they must stir the shit there. And while they're stirring the shit there, here on the sideline, what do we have? In the EU and Serbia, stirring the shit there. So you cannot blame me for having an attitude that they are professional, dedicated, high on steroids, shit stirrers. That is what they are. Instead of being leaders of the Western world, leaders that respects people, that respects countries, no, they are the schoolyard bullies of the world. And this is how they operate. It seems to me that it is now so ingrained there that they cannot be anything else than shit stirrers. Look at this. Trump's former Kosovo envoy slams US over the crisis. Richard Grenell, who negotiated the Kosovo-Serbia deal under Trump, blamed Pristina's reckless prime minister for the renewed tensions with Belgrade on Sunday and the State Department for enabling them. What's happening in the Balkans isn't Russia. Whoever says this to you is trying to manipulate you, Grenell tweeted. This is about Albin Kurti trying once again to give it to Serbia. He is living in the past. And there it is. What can they gain? But why Serbia? Because Serbia refused to take a negative position towards Russia. And that pains those neocons in the shithouse, and they will do everything they can to destroy Serbia. Don't care about millions of people getting killed and all of that, as long as they can have their way. And then I see this, and I wonder to myself, how do these people think they can have normal consultations and discussions with Russia after everything they did the past 4 months? Forget about the previous years of it. Just in the past 4 months, how they treated Russia as a country and how they treated Russians as people. Biden baffles Russia with new nuclear treaty suggestion. US President Joe Biden left the Russian Foreign Ministry baffled by proposing to negotiate the next START nuclear treaty, even though the current agreement doesn't expire until 2026. Is this a serious statement, or has the White House websites been hacked? I cannot believe it. Arrogance, that's the big thing, arrogance. And then you see this. This is from America. California governor declares state of emergency over monkeypox outbreak. And I'm quite sure the Californians are going to queue up. And then we get this one. US has expanded sanctions against Russia, the Treasury said. 13 individuals and a number of technological institutions, as well as an iron and steel works, are on the list. Where the hell are they going with this? They have destroyed the American industry, the heavy industry, to a great extent. They farm everything out to China. And the Russian sanctions is absolutely destroying the European economy, and the American economy is feeling it. And yet, what do we see? A new set of sanctions. And what these cretins don't tell the people is of all the sanctions that they are rolling back in the background because it's injuring America. Guys, that crew in the shit house, they actually should be scraped together and thrown down a mine shaft. And then I see this. Chinese nationals should not be permitted to own a single acre of farmland in the United States. I wonder why. I wonder what is the reason for somebody to post this. And then there was a comment. That should tell you something. Why are foreign citizens allowed to purchase American real estate, but we can't buy real estate in their country? Your question should be, who's allowing this and why are they getting away with this? The American people better wake up. And then there's this. DC does not work for the USA or Americans. DC made it that clear with Biden-Harris install and placing barbed wire around our DC taxpayer buildings, stalking 500k people protesting government on January 6, and arresting, jailing and torturing thousands in DC dungeons. What more does anyone need? And I spoke about it many times. But the people of the world must take note. A super race has evolved amongst us, and it is called politicians. And then this comment. It is hard to govern land from afar. The price of grain food is more representative of land in terms of trade. Sustainable farming incentives matter as well as irrigation subsidies could help evolve processes. Young farmers require proper agricultural education. And I'm sure I don't have a lot of information about it. I have seen some articles about it, but it seems to me that the American agricultural industry is going the same way as many other countries has gone, with small-scale farmers and family farming operations being worked out by commercial farming operators. And that is dangerous for us all, because never forget, behind those commercials sits money, and behind that money sit people from the WEF cabal. And then this comment, any land, period, this is for our people. The people that the banks put out on the streets that were too old to work or provide for themselves because the jobs were all shipped overseas. This is in America. And then there is this comment. From Vietnam to Yugoslavia to Afghanistan to Iraq, to Libya to Syria to Yemen to China, the US has no respect for other countries' sovereignty. And that is extremely important to take note of, because this is what the US does. And I don't think that the Americans on the street understands the level and depth of the hatred for America and everything it represents in the rest of the world. And then you've got this one. Let me get this straight, and please advise me, as I'm not very bright. So only the US in this place we call Earth, that has 185 countries, only America has the right to defend its own vital interest. And that is another one that must be taken note of. And people are upset about what Russia and China and India is doing. People in the West are upset about that. The rest of the world are cheering them on. America thinks it's privileged to all of Earth's land, resources and might, and are forcing that belief on the whole world, if not by cooperation, which they can't get, so then by force and sanctions, threats, etc., which they think makes them mighty. Effect is becoming reversed though. And there is a lot of truth in that. The rest of the world has had enough of the US. The US are going to find themselves extremely isolated and extremely unwanted and extremely hated. And it will be that cabal in the shithouse that is engineering this. If there was clever people in the White House, they would have worked on America's attitude toward the rest of the world and prepare their citizens and America for a new world of multipolarity, where countries respect each other, where there is not one superpower that terrorizes the globe. And then this is an interesting thing. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. It's quite long. You can pause the video and read through it all. But I've seen other posts around the same topic. Nearly no Americans see Russia as a problem in a poll. Inflation, poor governance, and the state of the economy are far greater problems than Russia, a recent Gallup poll has indicated, with just 1% of Americans believing the world's largest country an issue. Now, you can read this yourself. This is an eye-opener. But what? The race in the shithouse will not take note, because they think they are totally untouchable. That is what they think. And this following slides, I'm just going to show it. You can pause and read through it. The first one is, how do Russian nuclear weapons compare to the rest of the world? And there you can see how many nuclear weapons the Russians have. And take note when you look at these numbers. It only needs one or two to fuck everything up for everybody. And then this is interesting. This is a list of all the wars the Americans has been involved in since World War II. Look at that list and it will make you puke. It is endless. And they just carry on and carry on. And the American public, the American taxpayers are financing this shit. I don't know how this works. And then we've got this, just for a laugh. And it is actually something Americans should take note of. Aussie rugby player Boycott gay pride jersey, refused to play. Rugby league side, the Manly Sea Eagles, have met resistance to their new inclusiveness rainbow jersey from 7 of their own players, who will boycott the side match this Thursday. The world is getting fed up for this alphabet shit as well. And then there's this. Leftist insanity. What the fuck do you do when a mixed race couple comes in with mixed race children? Make them sit in a separate sections? Fucking idiocy. Racism is alive and well in the Democrat Party. Portland restaurant comes up with an innovative new idea to promote racial equity, creating separate sections for black and white diners. We want to provide a safe space for our dog. I'm just going to stop there. Somebody should phone this guy and tell him what the fuck happened to South Africa with this. This is apartheid. This is real apartheid. Now the world must sanction this guy. They must sanction that Portland restaurant. They must nuke him. Wall Street collapsing. The US has entered a recession, New York Mayor Eric Adams said on Thursday, contradicting earlier claims of President Joe Biden that the economy is on the right path. We are in a financial crisis like you can never imagine. Wall Street is collapsing. We are in recession. And you can stop it and read the rest. Reality. But Joe Biden there in the shit house tells you differently. Just as they have acquired some power to change your sex, you can decide whether you're a male or a female. You can now decide whether it's a recession or a boom. They will tell you Don't believe the facts. Listen to what we are saying. And then here we have Mr. Trump. The US could repeat the fate of Soviet Union. Again, a long piece. I'm just going to read a bit of it. The United States risk repeating the fate of the Soviet Union. The main threat to America now comes from within. The opinion was expressed by former US President Donald Trump, who delivered a speech in Washington on Tuesday. According to him, the United States, under the current Democratic President Joe Biden, has lost all those foreign and domestic political achievements and advantages that previous administrations provided. And that is true. Look, I cannot see a country in the world at this point today, as I'm talking to you now, that is respecting the United States. Yes, they fear the United States, but they don't respect them. And the problem is, Russia and China can destroy the United States with no issues about it. But the world will be gone after that. And the bloody Americans there in the shithouse, the newcons in the shithouse, do not want to take note of the fact that times are changing. But they will carry on. I just hope that the Russians and the Chinese will restrain themselves and let the idiots have their parties. US oil giants reap windfall profits amid price spike. US oil firms ExxonMobil and Chevron have reported record profits, reaping tens of billions of dollars due to a major surge in prices, fueled by the conflict in Eastern Europe and a month-long Western sanctions spree on Russia, a major global exporter. Yes, that is how things work, and capitalism is like that. But maybe if the White House, the shit house, was not so aggressive and negative towards the energy suppliers, these energy suppliers could have reached into their pockets and made life easier for ordinary Americans. But definitely, they won't do it, not under the conditions on which they must do business, where they are forever under attack from the shithouse and the newcons and the greenies. So, they making hay while the sun is shining. Think about it. And then we get this. From who else then? That stupid Blinken. US State Department resists calling Russia a sponsor of terrorism. Now they resist it because somewhere somebody has whispered in their ears, "Don't poke the bear." Officially designating Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism by the US, the State Department, over its actions in Ukraine, would limit the ability of the White House to exempt some transactions with Russia from Western penalties. The New York Times report. I'm just laughing. They are bumbling idiots. When will the world declare the US as a state sponsoring terrorism? They deserve that. And then we get to this one, which Americans are fully aware. The people in the South is fully aware of this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the heading. Mexican migrant highway blockades threaten U.S. supply chains. The Texas Department of Agriculture has voiced concerns about the migrant blockades on Mexican highways, damaging supply chain routes in the state, which receives about $400 billion of goods a year across the Mexico line. That is what migrants are doing. But these American bullshitters sitting in the shithouse, they are busy poking the dragon and poking the bear. And they are everywhere over the globe busy warring. But they cannot protect their own borders. America cannot defend its own borders. What does that tell you? And then we're going to get to that moment where we must ask a few questions. And this is a real what a fuck question. Look at this image. Look at it in 20 November 2020. Terror chief dead. Ayman al-Zawahiri dead. Al-Qaeda boss dies from asthma in Afghan mountain hideout. And lo and behold, August 3, 2022, US kills Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri in a drone strike in Afghanistan. What the fuck is that? People of the world needs to wake up. I have asked my wife a day or two ago if there is any way that she can ascertain for me that we are not actually living in the matrix. And on that note, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, share, but the likes are important. Help me grow this thing if you want to see more, and if you don't want to see more, tell me in the comments. I read all the comments. Thank you very much.